Welcome to Barn Banter, the podcast by Horse Illustrated. Each month, we bring guests to educate, entertain, or inspire you as you pursue the horsey lifestyle, plus an adoptable horse with a unique story. I'm Susan Friedland, an equestrian author, blogger, and speaker with a soft spot for off-track thoroughbreds. You can find me at my blog, saddleseekshorse.com, or on Facebook or Instagram at saddleseekshorse.
And I'm Holly Kakamis, editor-in-chief of Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazines. You can find us at horseillustrated.com, youngrider.com, and Horse Illustrated and Young Rider on Instagram and Facebook.
To celebrate Horse Illustrated's 50th anniversary in 2026, we are offering our Best of Horse Illustrated special collector's issue. This will be available March 31st, but is available for pre-sale now. The cover price is $9.99, and it includes 100 pages with a look inside our very first issue in 1976, our favorite covers over the years, the history of a changing magazine, our 5 most popular articles, and award-winning stories throughout the years. You can order now or pre-order at tinyurl.com/special50.
Happy spring. I'm so excited, Holly, that spring is finally here. Is it spring where you are in California?
No, it skipped straight to summer. It was like 90 degrees all last week. So,
oh my gosh.
I'm sure for you Midwesterners, it's probably a little bit different.
We're in the throes of hot, cold. Like there was a blizzard last week and I didn't go to the barn. And then that was on a Monday. And then on the Saturday, I was riding in a short sleeve shirt. So it's crazy. But I think spring is the perfect time to try something fun and new. And I've noticed on your Instagram that you've been doing a lot of painting and you're quite good at it. So I would love for our listeners and our Horse Illustrated readers to know more about Holly and her creative talents. It's not just with words, it's with images. So tell us how you got started painting and doing all those fun things.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm just kind of like returning to my childhood dreams here. I've like a few years ago started getting really back into reading and just like crushing through books. So, you know, when you're an adult, you kind of just like never read again. And I sort of rediscovered it during COVID, which I think a lot of people just had more time. So that's been really fun. And, you know, as a kid, I always was reading, writing, and like drawing, and art was like a huge part of my life. Again, like until you become an adult and reality hits you. I just was like an artist as a kid, not anything that could be talented enough to be professional for me, but just for fun, you know, it's just fulfilling. So somehow I managed to meet some friends who like one already had like tons of art supplies. One actually is a professional artist at Disneyland. And another who takes art classes, again, like a mom of a kid the same age as mine. And her stuff that she posts is like so good. I'm like, well, I could never do that, but at least we all are just naturally like into the same thing. So we get together around once a month and have a paint night and leave the kids at home. Do you paint one thing in that night? Because I saw this gorgeous red dragon or dinosaur. So the first time we did it, it was like an ACOTAR, Court of Thorn and Roses, if you've ever heard that book. We had all read ACOTAR and just wanted to, for some reason, like wear costumes.
I have no thing. You wore costumes?
Yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. Okay. Oh, to be a fly on the wall.
That was the first one. And then we just decided like the painting part, we really got a kick out of, and we don't have to like do it ACOTAR themed, and we can just like have fun. So one of the girls' parents has a house that they like don't live in. It's like their vacation house. So there's like an empty house we can go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's really cool. We don't have to have anyone like clean up their house and get all the people out. We can just have our little hideaway. So it's so fun. And so last time I did a beach, and that was actually my favorite one I've done so far, because I just kind of look for, we just sit there like scrolling through ideas and find something that we not want to copy, because it never looks anything like what you're copying, but just inspire you, like, okay, this style of beach with the sun here and a rock over here, whatever. So that was like my favorite one. And then my son saw it and he's like, I want you to paint me a dragon. And I'm like, okay, like I don't really have anything else I need to paint right now, so I will paint you next time a dragon. And his favorite color is red, so I just looked up pictures of red dragons, and
it's really good. I think our listeners would like to see it, so I think you need to.
So
I think you need to put in the show notes.
I was doing the head, and I'm like, I don't know how dragon anatomy works. The only kind of head I know how to do is a horse. Like, I know where their jaws are and how they open, and their like eyeball and their ears attach. So it looks way more like a horse's head than a dragon.
Okay, well, this is funny. I wasn't planning on sharing this, but since you're talking about you can do horse anatomy and it didn't correlate to dragon, I'll make this short. Very good friend had a beautiful, beautiful quarter horse, primo bloodlines. And the husband thought a really great gift would be to, commission a portrait of the horse. And the artist was an excellent, renowned artist in the realm of Ducks Unlimited. Apparently, if you're skilled at waterfowl, that might not transition well into horses. So long story short, she got her beautiful horse this portrait, and she couldn't look at it because all she could see was like a duck horse.
Oh no!
So, anyway, but I feel I've been trying. So for Christmas, I got some watercolor paints. I've been doing woodland creatures.
Oh, fun!
Yeah.
I know nothing about watercolor. It looks very hard. We use acrylics, and that is that. Like, they are the easiest to work with, and I've been happy with how they turn out. So yeah, I'm not a watercolor girl.
Well, I think trying new things is always, even new old things.
Yes. I think your hobby that you do for yourself just to make you happy. Everyone should be finding one or refinding one. Obviously the horses are a lifelong hobby.
It's a constant. The horse thing is a constant. But what I love about horses too is there's so many different realms of activities you can try with horses.
Yes. But I was pretty pleased with the dragon. I just realized the more you put like spikes all over it and long talons, it looks more cool. So I'm going to remember that in case I have to make another one.
Another dragon.
And it might still look like a horse though. I don't know. But Susan, I see that you recently entered a virtual show, and I know these kind of became a thing. I think it was before COVID, but especially during COVID, people weren't able to really travel as much to shows. And I'm glad to see them still going, because I think it's such a good way to just get a little bit easier feedback on your writing and your performance versus having to have a trailer and spend all day, all week, all weekend, whatever, going somewhere. So I want to know,
barrier to entry. Yeah, that's what I like about it.
More about this, how did it go, and did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it. I'm newer to dressage, and so it was a little confusing the first few. Anyway, I've done one a year over the last few years, one or two a year. Actually, last year I was trying to do one, and then there was ice coming off the indoor arena, and night had a pretty big spook. And then I was like, today's not the day for this. But anyway, so I did, for people familiar with USDF Intro Test B, I did that in February. And my sister, who was on the podcast in January talking about journaling her rides, and she, had not ridden for years and years and years and years. And so is kind of newer back into the saddle. Also did Intro Test B. And when she heard that I was doing Intro Test B, which is walk trot only, but my horse had a little bit of canter time off last year. Long story. So that was what I was comfortable with. She's like, no, because that's not fair. You're going to win and all this. Well, she beat me by like a point.
No. Oh,
yeah. So there were 3 people in the class and I came in third, but I don't care because I like the color yellow and my ribbon is beautiful. But the exciting part was that we got to enter as a team. And so my sister, myself, and then another one of our friends who was riding her Haflinger training test 1, we came in second out of 7. So we were reserve champion farms. So we got a beautiful pink ribbon that is all fancy. And I posted it. Yeah. So it's, you know what I like about it? I'm not a super competitive person, but the way I think about these virtual tests is it's almost like a recital. So it's like, what have I improved on with my horse? And at this phase of my riding, I feel like my main goal is to have a comfortable, happy night. And I really want him to have a strong top line. And so what was really gratifying was looking at some of the rides, you know, from like a year ago and 2 years ago. And there's incremental improvements. Like, are we on our way to Grand Prix? No. But, you know, my relationship with him really trumps any kind of, you know, chasing points or year-end awards and that. But I did qualify for the finals. So it's like this winter kind of early spring virtual show. Yeah. So we recorded. I got all dressed up. I forgot how to tie a stock tie. But I tied it. And so I was so glad that I did. I bought white breeches. I've never owned white breeches before. And that was one of the nice comments the judge had, was that she loved the classic attire and she thought we looked like a great team. And so there was other positive feedback about you know, that beautiful horse and just like that we had a connection. So, you know, executing the moves correctly and getting them more forward and round and all of that, that's a work in progress that I'll be working on.
Well, for the rest of my life. Are always working on that. So that makes sense.
But it's really fun. I would encourage our listeners, if they have thought about doing a virtual show, you know, it's nice. I like it because, it's just not as stressful on the horse. I have a ulcer prone thoroughbred and, you know, I don't own a trailer, but I do own a phone and I do have a friend who is a very good videographer and with a tripod. And so we can get some nice videos and, just have a good time.
Awesome. Well, congratulations. I love it. And who doesn't like to add a little ribbon to the collection? But I will say, like, I don't think I've ever been to a pure dressage show because I'm an eventer and beige breeches are legal and I absolutely refuse to wear white breeches. I hate them. I am like the anti-Martha Stewart's coming back. Like, I just will not wear white breeches. I just don't want them. It's like, okay, you are in the dirtiest sport that could ever be done. Like, why did white have to be a thing? So yeah, I'm a beige girl. But anyways, on to a little bit about our guest. She is an expert, I would say, in sidesaddle, and you decided you were going to try out this sidesaddle clinic. And I want to know why that interested you and what you thought about it.
Yeah. So our guest, Nicolle Glenn, I met her at a friend's book event. My friend Cheryl had the Greyhound book. And when I met her, she just had this exuberance. And when I heard that she fox hunted sidesaddle, I was like, she's the coolest and I need her to be my friend. And I don't want to fox hunt sidesaddle, but I just think, you know, try, like with you and painting and that, or even, you know, doing the dressage virtual show, like, I think it's good to try new things. And of course, I love Downton Abbey and, you know, Pride and Prejudice. So like the beautiful clothes and all of that. And Lady Mary and Downton Abbey, I think there's a scene where she's fox hunting sidesaddle. And so it just looks classy. And
Bridgerton, that's like my jam. And they are all about the fancy. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just, I don't know. I wanted to learn more about it. And So when I heard there was a clinic, and I automatically liked Nicolle the second I met her. And then I found out that she was doing a clinic, and I'm like, I want to learn from this gal. So I went to the clinic, and in the end, I don't think side saddle's for me, but I'm so glad I tried it, and I'm fascinated by it. And I'm so happy that there's people out there like Nicolle who are preserving it. I think of it kind of as an art, an equestrian art. And so I would encourage anyone who's ever given it a thought to try it out and see if it's for you. And I can't wait for our listeners to meet Nicolle and hear all about her exciting side saddle life. And she's got quite the horsey background, Grand Prix jumpers, and just felt like she wanted to try something different and happened upon a side saddle at a used tack sale. And that kind of changed the trajectory of her riding. So it's a really fun episode.
And without further ado, here is our interview with Nicolle. Another way we're celebrating Horse Illustrated's 50th anniversary in 2026 is with our HI Hero of the Month contest. Go to horseillustrated.com/monthlyhero and tell us who your HI hero is. It could be a vet, trainer, therapist, or anyone who has made a contribution to the lives of horses or the people who care for them. Winners will receive a prize for themselves and the person they nominated. Monthly winners will be featured on social media with a year-end wrap-up in our print magazine.
Welcome to Barn Banter, Nicolle. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, today, this is just going to be an amazingly fun session, I know. But before we get started talking about side saddle and you fox hunting side saddle and all that good stuff, I want to back up a little bit and have you share with us how you became horse obsessed and where that occurred, where you live, that sort of stuff.
Okay. I'll try to shorten it for the most part, but my parents never forced me. They never got me into it or anything. It was just like the minute I was like up and walking, it was horses. I mean, if there was a pony ride at the county fair, I was there. It was so much to a point where I wouldn't want to get off the carousel. And, back in the day, my parents would just, they knew the guys at the carnival, and they would just leave me on the carousel for like 30 minutes while they'd go get a bite to eat, and I would be babysit, and I'd just be sitting on the carousel, forever. And the soonest they could get me into lessons was 4 years old. That was the earliest that they could find for a place to take. So, it was a glorified pony ride essentially, but I didn't care. It was awesome. It was a little pony named Sia up at Hunter Hill and Half Day in Libertyville, over Half Day in Libertyville area.
And that's Libertyville, Illinois. So you're a Midwest girl like me.
Yep. Originally from Arlington Heights.
Okay. So when you took lessons at the tender age of 4, those were English riding lessons, I assume. And so your background is mainly in the hunter jumper world. Is that right?
Yeah. So I started in hunter jumper back in, that'd be like early 90s, probably a little bit before the 90s, if I'm doing my math right here. And so that was pretty much the only thing that was really around here. So they just got me in. I had this it was a little white-faced pony that I would ride. His name was Sia. He was adorable.
Oh my gosh. So now, truth be told, listeners, I connected with Nicolle at one of her side saddle clinics. And Nicolle, I was so impressed, not just with your ability to clearly instruct, like the minute detail of how to mount and all these things. And my background is education, so you're such a good communicator, and I really understood it. But your enthusiasm for side saddle and the history behind it was just so contagious. So maybe for our listeners who don't really have, they've seen, I'm sure, photos of people riding side saddle, but they've never seen it in real life. Can you give us a little insight into what it's like for a rider to mount up and sit in a side saddle for the first time?
Yeah, it's definitely, for the first time, most people, it's a very, very strange feeling. Especially the first thing most people want to do is they want to start adjusting their seat and switching their seat and moving it. And less is more on side saddle. It's very painstaking, very slow, organizing your body. I really think it teaches a lot of body awareness, especially where your hips are. I think it helps with stride riding very well. I know it helped me figure out like where my hips, my seat bones, what my body's doing. Sometimes I look like a fish flopping about on some days. It depends. But the first initial feeling is, as long as it's a good saddle, it's like, it's a little weird, but I'm not going to die, is usually the consensus.
I want to know too, because I'm picturing, you on Sia and kind of moving up Hunter Jumper. And then there must have been a moment somewhere where you either saw someone on TV or real life where you came across a side saddle. So maybe before we dive in deeper to technique and what people can experience, let's hear about how side saddle happened to you.
It pretty much happened in just kind of on a whim, because I had been hunting at that point in time with Mill Creek out in Gurnee, Illinois, for people who don't know the area. And I had done some Grand Prix jumping with jumping 5 foot on my horses and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'm kind of looking for something else to do, and there's the Midwest Horse Fair, and I'm like, oh, what's this down in the depths? They always have the 4-H used tack sale. And I'm like, well, hello, what are you? And there was this beautiful Victorian side saddle that had beautiful stitching on the seat. It was really pretty. At that point, I didn't know what I was looking at. So I just went, oh my gosh, it's pretty.
Oh my gosh. So you were enthusiastically carrying around a side saddle at Midwest Horse Fair. And then when you got it home, did it come with a girth, or how did you even know? It did anything about how to get going with it?
I knew absolutely nothing. Don't do what I did. Definitely don't. I just plunked it on my horse. God bless her. She was probably 15, 16 years old, and she was my hunt horse at that point. And she's awesome. But I plunked it on her. It didn't fit because a lot of the older side saddles were super narrow. But at that point, I was like, it's a side saddle. I don't care. And I have a picture of it, and it's it's all sorts of wrong on this horse. And my horse is a saint. She didn't buck me off, thank God. I literally did not want to go past a walk. As crazy as I didn't want to go past a walk. And I was like, Mom, you have to leave me around. I can't. No. This is not going to work. This is too scary. And it was at that point where I was extremely humbled. And I'm like, maybe there's something more to this than just plunking it on and going. Maybe I should get some help. I think I need some help.
Okay, so pause there just for a second, because this resonates with me, because when I was in your clinic, I was so excited to be there, and then it was my turn, and there was the opportunity for me. So I was being led around like a pony ride back in the day. So here I am, middle-aged woman being led around. And then I think I had the chance, if I want, and I was holding the reins because I know how to hold reins, but it was like, okay, do you want us to let go and ride around? I was like, no. It's like, no. So I can resonate, but also I am not, nor will I ever be a Grand Prix jumper. So this is kind of amazing revelation that you were so used to kind of this very, advanced riding and moxie. And then your first few moments, at least, it kind of made you a beginner again. So I kind of love that. Okay, so continue with the story. So you didn't want to go past a walk.
No, I did not want to go past a walk. And I was like, Mom, don't let go. Seriously, don't let go. I am going to die. And it was utterly terrifying. And I'm like, maybe I better rethink this. So I kind of started doing some research. And this is way before. This was back in MySpace day. Now I'm really showing my age now. MySpace. So there wasn't as many online places to find information. So I started finding a couple of books, and then I was lucky enough that I stumbled on Belvedere, Illinois had I think it was Illinois Horse Fest or something, and I noticed on the roster there was this lady, Mary Vanderloop, and she did side saddle, and she was doing an intro clinic, and I'm like, I'm like, I think I need this, because obviously I'm not doing a lot here with myself. I'm like, I'm a little hot mess. And so I went and did the clinic, and she talked about it, and she's like, to be someone who tries to get on. And I'm like, of course, me. And she had her old mare and a nice solid saddle on there. And like in 2 minutes, like once I got it figured out, she's like, oh, here, let's try a canter. So just taking off in a canter. And I'm like, it's good. This is fun. This is so much better than what I tried to do, just plonking one on.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just curious, was it because her horse was seasoned and already knew, or was it more like just having someone there who's an expert that they could just give you a little extra boost of confidence or a couple tips, or how did you transform?
It was definitely a transformation. It was more about how to grip. Especially coming from a hunter-jumper rider, my biggest problem, especially when you're a hunter-jumper rider, is, I rode in the half seat. I was either I was riding feral bucking horses that were, because I didn't have the expensive money for a fully well-trained. So I had like horses that were a little sassy and would give little bucks, and, they had a lot of power under them. They weren't naughty or anything, but they definitely had opinions about stuff. So you learned to ride kind of in a half seat, because if you're little like me, that's a lot of thrust. I can go flying off very easily. So my problem was I was putting way too much weight in the stirrup, and I wasn't distributing my weight properly on the seat or gripping properly, because I was like, oh, heels down, right? No weight in the heels. It's in your seat in your right thigh. Totally different to relearn, and every once in a while, if I get tired, I'll feel like, uh-oh, my body's reverting back. It took me quite a while to break that habit.
So then you had this opportunity at the clinic, and then you were cantering, and then it was like, oh, this is so much better. Then did you stop riding astride and a hardcore go side saddle, or has it just been something like a slower progression, like when you had the time, you just do it for fun on weekends? Or how did you kind of navigate your riding types?
I do both, and I still do both. I don't exclusively do one or the other. There are days where I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling coordinated enough to do side saddle. My core is tired. I'm like, no, I'll just do astride. But I like doing my horses will be astride or aside. They can do both. It's not a big issue. So I like them to be cross-trained. They don't mind it. Although I have found my one mare, she actually likes side saddle a little bit better because I can't micromanage her. I'm very limited in that capacity. I have to actually really refine my skills and actually ride for her, and she's very judgy about that.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you is, how would you say that riding side saddle has shaped you as an equestrian, or just has it improved your other riding when you're riding with a leg on either side of the horse?
So actually, I think it has improved my riding a lot. I mentioned when you did the clinic, I actually mentioned that when I first started riding side saddle. Now, granted, I was in shape. I had been hunting with Mill Creek and riding out in the fields, and I mean, some of those are longer hunts and everything. So he was in pretty good shape. I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah, then when I really started to really work on my side saddle, my core muscles changed. I literally gained about 10 pounds of muscle in my core. I did not change shape. I just gained muscle. On the scale, I literally gained 10 pounds of muscle just from my core.
I'm gonna pause you here, because is this something maybe we should all be considering instead of Pilates if we can strengthen our cores? What do you think, Polly?
My running gag is, I promise you'll never have to do another sit-up in your life if you do side saddle. When I really started doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, get the ibuprofen and the heating pad. I'm dying.
Oh my gosh.
Especially when I started jumping and really using that core. It was, yeah. And then the legs and just squatting, stairs. Yeah, that it was a little rough some days, but we built the muscle. It's like any hard training.
So you said earlier, and the question I have is kind of about riding mantras. So like for most of us, we're familiar with, heels down, eyes up. For me, it's always get your right shoulder back and close your fingers. So what are some of the frequent, mantras that someone who's learning how to ride side saddle would hear from you or from another instructor?
It would be usually 9 times out of 10, it's right shoulder back. Because your body, naturally, you're going to want to twist a little bit. But if you're riding in a side saddle, you actually sit very square to the horse. The saddle is designed to do this. A Western side saddle will have a little bit of a twist, not much. You still sit square. So from behind, it basically looks like someone lopped off your right leg, but you're still sitting square on the horse. If you're sitting crooked, then you need to fix that. There's a couple of things. So the right shoulder back, and I always think about like pressing your right thigh down into the saddle. That's one that I use a lot, is to try and think about because that's where your grip and everything, that's going to keep the pressure on the saddle. And then that's going to tie into your grip on the horns and how you would actually stay on going at speed or galloping, jumping, etc.
So a side saddle, I mean, we don't have pictures because this is audio only podcast, but like that thing that sticks out that makes it recognizable as a side saddle that you kind of have your, legs wrapped around. What is the name of it's a horn? Like the Western saddle has a horn, or what is that called?
Yep. So Western side saddles, English side saddle, they do have horns. So it can be called the upright head or upright horn, fixed head. And then below that, depending on the side saddle, not all of them have that, it's a curved one for your left leg to go under. And that one is on, threads and can be screwed in or screwed out. And that is your leaping head. And that is for if you were jumping, it's going to give you extra security, extra grip. That was invented for people who want to start jumping, because if you don't have that, it gets a little precarious without a little extra grip if you're starting to go over fences. But, so that's what it was invented for.
Okay. So then take us back to the moment where, speaking of hunting, where you first started jumping in a side saddle. Was that like learning how to jump all over again? Or once the canter, you figured that out, it was just like an extension of the canter? Or
it was a lot of practice. Definitely it was, for me, it was like kind of having to relearn, although I will say it will cure jumping ahead. You will not jump ahead in a side saddle, because if you do, you are toast. You're toast. If you can get a little forward, but if you get too far forward and that right shoulder comes forward, you're done. Knock on wood, I have not fallen off side saddle. It's actually harder to fall off, but there were a couple times when I was practicing, when I was starting to learn, and that right shoulder went around, and I was like babbing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going down. I'm like, I'm tensed, but my face is really nice, very sweet, and she saved my butt many times.
Oh. What kind of horse is she?
She was a quarter horse paint mare, born and bred out of Timmerman's Saddle and Ranch Shop out in Island Lake in our area.
Oh, that's awesome. So what is your reaction when people see you fox hunting, or just if you're riding around side saddle? I don't know if you show it all side saddle, but like how do people interact with you? Do you get people stopping you and like, cool, or,
A lot of them are kind of, they're interested. They're like, what are you doing? Wait, what is this? And then they're like, how do you stay on? That's the biggest thing, is they're always like, how do you stay on? Like there's so much mystery going on underneath those skirts. Like, because unfortunately, there's, myths about, how side saddle you're riding crooked or you're riding sideways and it's going to damage the horse's back. If it's like anything, if it's fitting correctly and it's well balanced, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, take into consideration everything. I've actually had the side saddle on a mechanical horse, one of those ones that measures like where your balance is and everything. Putting the stride saddle on, put a side saddle on, same balance. Absolutely the same. It was a properly balanced saddle, and it was sitting in the same spot. No issue. So it wasn't one side or the other. as long as you were sitting properly. But that goes for regular astride riding too. If you're sitting crooked, well, that's going to make it a little wonky too. But usually they're mystified on like what's going on underneath. How are you staying on? And at that point, usually if they come up, I'm like, here, come up, take a look. I'll lift up the skirt, which that sounds really inappropriate, but I have breeches on underneath. Ladies wore breeches, so it's nothing scandalous. And then I show them exactly, how I'm gripping, and then they're like, oh, that makes so much sense. Okay, this is more logical. It's not this crazy death-defying thing that we thought it was. And it demystifies it a little bit for them. So, and then especially some of my saddles are over 100 years old, so they're really happy to see like the workmanship on a lot of them too.
Oh, yeah, you know them. And how many side saddles do you have, Nicolle?
Well, I've lost count, so that's where I guess you have a problem. I think I'm up to 13 again. It's like they find me. I don't know what it is. They just kind of randomly like fall into my lap, and I'm like, oh, okay, here's another one. I got to figure out where the heck I'm going to put it.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, Nicolle, some people like stray animals find them. So instead of being like a cat lady, you're a side saddle lady.
Pretty much. The side saddles, they come to me, but even regular saddles, they manifest.
Okay, so you alluded a little to earlier about the skirts, and I don't know if Holly remembers my awesome photo of me wearing it's called an apron, right? Not a dress or a skirt. Yeah, so during the clinic, I got to wear the fancy clothes and all of that. But maybe help us understand a little bit more about the garb, and where do people find such specialty riding attire?
Okay. Basically, depending on what you want to do, and this is the fun part about side saddle. So I feel like I'm on the extreme end of the fox hunting and the crazy jumping. You do not have to be as crazy as me. You can get a nice basic saddle, and if you want to do parades, you want to do the costumes. I mean, there's so many different avenues you can do. But for me, I always it's called a safety apron, and basically what it is, it looks like a skirt. It acts like a skirt, but in reality it's half a skirt, so that when you're sitting on the horse, the back half is open. This is why you wear breeches. And if God forbid I were to come off, unfortunately, I would be clear and free of the heads, and I would not get tangled in my skirts, because that was one of the bigger dangers back in the day. If you had a full Victorian skirt, which I do have a full Victorian 1860s outfit made by Park Lady Equestrian in the UK. She makes some beautiful outfits. And they do concourse to elegance classes over in the UK as well. But that skirt, I've ridden in it a few times. Oh my goodness gracious. First off, trying to get onto it, it's like a queen size blanket that you're trying to lift up and organize yourself. Then you got to organize your legs. Then you got to make sure you're not tangled in the darn thing. You got to just have a sense of humor about it. It's just, you kind of have to laugh at yourself. Even though I'm side saddle, I'm not the most graceful person on the face of this earth. I mean, I'll trip over a crack in the sidewalk and fall on my face. But yeah, that one, I ride in it a few times, but I couldn't imagine actually, I don't jump in it or anything. It's more for decor, parades, I've done cantering and a little hand gallop with it, but that's about it. Like, I definitely would not want to ride out in the hunt field. Not to mention, I'd have to pick all the burrs off of it. Oh my gosh.
So, is the material like that kind of old school wool for most of the?
Yes.
Or is there are there summer side saddle habits, or?
There are summer side saddle habits, so you can find them in some like linens. A lot of them are the heavyweight wool, just for the territory. Actually, I've made a lot of my aprons, just because I'm on a budget. I'm just I'm a Walmart supervisor, so I don't have the kind of money to spend on a full apron or a full garb, just depending on the budget. And so I'm handy with a sewing machine. I'll start sewing the aprons and kind of making my own aprons. I've actually, not to pull the Scarlett O'Hara, but I've actually gone thrifting, and you can find really good curtain fabric that drapes really nice, and it's a lot cheaper if you find it thrifting, and you just find an old curtain and you can cut it up with the pattern if you're handy, and you get some really pretty colors on that way.
That is so cool. Okay, I have a few more questions, but Holly, I'm sure you have some burning questions that you would like to ask. I've been writing furiously over here, so I don't forget anything. But just like I'm so fascinated by this because I'm kind of like a crazy equestrian that would love to try crazy things. So it's always kind of fascinated me. I never had an opportunity to try side saddle. My only experience was my friend for her wedding just decided she was going to ride down the aisle, side saddle in her wedding dress. Her horse had never been really exposed. Oh, no. I don't know where she got the saddle. I don't know anything. So it was my job to lead the horse, who thankfully was a saint. By some miracle, we survived. Nobody died. And it was pulled up. But yeah, that's basically the only time I've ever even really seen someone in person up close riding side saddle, but it looked cool. But so your left leg, is that just completely the same as like an English saddle? Is it like heels down on the left side and that leg is the same? Is it just the right leg that is completely different in your body? Or like, I'm just trying to picture how your left leg works.
So the left leg, basically, it hangs there, and the stirrup is more of a footrest. You can have your heel down a little bit, but usually it's just a little down. It's not like a jam down. It's just a little bit down or level. Or if you're really trying to grip, you can actually put your heel up into that leaping head, and that will actually give you extra grip if you need to. And that stirrup is just a footrest. Your leg should still lay flat. The stirrup length is actually shorter than what you would ride astride, just because you're sitting more across the horse's back and your leg isn't hanging down as long. And for me, it's a very, very short stirrup leather.
I see. Okay. And then if somebody is like, oh, I really want to go all into this, is there like new side saddles on the market you can buy, or do you just have to like keep your eye out for these 100-year-old saddles to find?
No, there are new side saddles. It just depends on your budget, realistically. There's Rob Jenkins of Malvern Saddlery over in the UK. He makes them. I did a quote just to see, and for a fully custom saddle, like, it's not a bad price. It really isn't. It's very reasonable. Just, I got car payments, but I basically around $8,000 if I were to make a custom saddle. So, obviously not terrible in the grand scheme of things. I mean, you could pick your color leather, everything. It was very, very good. And then there's also Crestridge Saddlery in the U.S. They do a Western kind of crossover saddle. Those are very comfy for people who like them. I call them kind of like a butt cup because it has a little dippy seat and it kind of cups your tushies. That's the best way I can think of to describe it. It's a very comfy saddle, though, especially if you're doing a lot of riding or you want more security. I like a flatter seat, but that's mainly because I'm jumping, but I'll ride anything. I don't care. But you can also source the old ones. The problem with the old ones is that horses were smaller back then. There were some that were a little bigger, but a lot of the horses were a little narrower in the shoulders back then. So you have problems trying to fit the saddle where the gullet might fit, but then the long points that go down along the horse's side are starting to have a little bit of problems there. And you don't want the horse to be pinched or anything like that. So if you have a very wide quarter horse or someone that's round and you're like, oh, I found this antique saddle, it might not fit. Case in point, there's a really pretty one that hangs up at Saddler's Row, which is just a tack store in our area, and it's really pretty. And Bob the Saddler there, I've talked to him about it. It's so narrow, like the point. It had to be the skinniest horse I've ever seen in my life, or like a tiny little pony or something, because it's like 14 inches across and the points, like, it's so narrow. It's like, I don't even know. It wouldn't even fit my thoroughbred, I'll tell you.
Right. That makes sense. So if you had like a narrow thoroughbred, you might be able to go the used market. But you mean like a lot of people now ride warm bloods and draft crosses and that kind of thing.
Yeah, some of them are real narrow, and it's not impossible. You can find them. But then here's the other problem too, where it gets kind of discouraging is, especially on the English, is if you have a long leg for a lady, ladies were shorter back then. So if you have a long leg, so then it makes a whole nother wrinkle in the ideas that it has to fit the lady. And if your leg is really long, then that could be a tough contender too. So if it fits, you find one that fits the horse, and then you're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's like a teeny tiny little seat. That's one thing where I'm like, oh, I'm 5'3", this actually works.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Well, that's good things to think about. And then my last question, so say I'm interested now, I want to find, can I try this? Is there a clinic? Is there a national association, a website? Is there some way to like centralize finding, where to go try this out, or trainers or anything?
A lot of it's pretty spread out. There's more in the UK. They have like their side saddle associations over there. But over here, there's Sarah McKay. She's with the International Side Saddle Association. And then there's Maggie, and she's with the American Side Saddle Association. They have a wide variety of saddles that they can like help you get started, or at least be on the lookout for things. There's also Holly Saddlery in Idaho. She actually takes old Western side saddles, and she'll strip them down to the tree, redo them, and totally refurbish them so they're ready to ride. And those are absolutely beautiful. Those are around like $3,800, and a Western saddle is a little easier to fit than an English too. So if you're not planning on jumping, Westerns are absolutely fabulous. I've got a couple in the tack room too, and they're just a fun saddle.
What encouragement would you give to our listeners who presumably, are familiar with riding? Why should they give side saddle a try?
Personally, I think they should give it a try. Just first off, there's so much history. I mean, I could spend hours just reading and researching the history on this. There's many ebbs and flows throughout history about whether the side saddle was liberating, whether it was oppressive. That's a whole nother kettle of fish there. But for me, I actually feel very, very strong and very empowered as I'm riding side saddle. For me, it's like I'm in a skirt. I'm kicking butt. I'm going through doing all this. There's something about the posture too. Like you can't slouch in the side saddle. It just ruins the whole picture. It ruins the way you sit. So I think for me, riding astride versus a side, I can get away with a little bit more astride, where I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling particularly the best today. I'm just going to kind of rest on my larynx here. The side saddle, if you're not fitting perfect, it's like, no, you have to sit up straight. You have to sit up there. Otherwise, it's just going to be horrible. It's not going to ride right. So I really think they kind of go hand in hand, even if you just try it once. I mean, I get it. Not everybody wants to go full side saddle in, but I do think it creates a body awareness of like where your hips are, where your legs are, little nuances, little tiny weight shifts, because you don't have that leg to do anything with. So you really have to listen to your horse and use more of your reins and your seat, a little bit of leg aid, and you can use what's called a riding cane to give a cue on the right-hand side, depending on the horse if they need it. But they start really picking up on the little nuances of like your seat. If you change your shoulder, you can initiate a lead change. So it really kind of forces you to really step up your game as a rider, at least in my humble opinion. For me, it was such a huge challenge.
That is really cool. And then, Nicolle, if people would like to connect with you, where could people reach out to you and maybe ask a question or two, or just follow along on your side saddle journey?
They can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I have a picture of my one paint horse with a bunch of hounds on there. There's certainly, I do a little bit on Instagram, too much, but I try to. It's, the more it's horses and hounds usually, and it's, they're more than welcome. If they've got questions, I'm more than happy to be an open book, and, especially, if they got questions, if figuring out how to sew something too, it's pretty good that way. I'm more than happy to do that.
This has been such a fun episode, and I know our listeners are going to love it. And thank you so much for joining us today, Nicolle. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me. It was a great honor.
And joining us today, we have a very special guest. This is Cassie Streeter. She is NIR Services Manager for Dairy One and Equi Analytical. Cassie, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So we have a really cool service here to talk about, and that is forage testing, maybe some other services, but it's just super important. A lot of people, horses more and more are being diagnosed with metabolic problems, and you just really need to know what's in each batch of hay and your forage, possibly even your pasture. So I have a lot of ground to cover with you about the services you guys offer, which is like so helpful. And I'm so glad to have someone on that offers this. There's a company out there and it is affordable for those wondering. So can you just start out by telling us what is Equi Analytical?
Sure. So Equi Analytical, we are a feed and forage testing company, and we're based out of Ithaca, New York, but we do test samples, from all over. And what we do is we can test anything you feed your horse for its nutritional content. So whether it's hay, pasture, grain, treats, water, we can actually test it for nutritional content. So we can tell you how much protein, fiber, fat, minerals, those sorts of things. And we provide you with a report so that you can have information on what you're feeding your horse and make decisions around their diet and how to supplement appropriately.
Okay, not to go off the rails already, but water. I didn't know this was a thing. Is that like you want to see if there's high chlorine, or what kind of thing would you be checking for in water that someone would want to know?
Sure. With water, it's pretty common to test for things like nitrates and just the mineral content as well. To understand that content, obviously, we're not going to find much in the way of protein or fiber, but usually the minerals, nitrates, that sort of thing. We can also do some bacteria testing if you have concerns that you think you might have bacteria in your water.
Okay, so that's more like the runoff from fertilization of fields and that kind of thing? Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Potentially where you're keeping your horses. Yep, runoff could be a concern. Depends on the placement of your wells on your property. So yeah.
Okay, super interesting. Okay. Well, I will try to stay on topic, but that was just something that jumped out at me, which is super interesting. So nutritional testing for horses. I feel like we've all heard a little bit about it, but can you tell us why that is actually important?
Sure. I mean, you think of when you go to your local feed store and you go and you grab your bag of feed, and you can look at the guarantee tag on the bottom of that bag of feed, and you can see how much protein and fiber and fat that it is in the feed. And all of us have looked at it. We've made decisions on purchasing it, but then we go back home to the barn and we give the feed, and then we fill up a hay net and we give that as well. But the hay doesn't come with a guarantee tag. So hay, for most horses, the vast majority of horses, hay is the major component of your horse's diet. And a lot of times we don't know what's in it. It's also something that changes every year. It's not usually a company manufacturing it. It's normally your local hay person supplying hay. And that hay will change from, year to year, certainly, different cuttings, different fields. Especially here where I'm based in the Northeast, we don't know the nature of the hay we're going to get until we have it, sitting in the barn. And because it changes so much, you want to test it so you understand what you're putting in front of your horse, that most of their diet, what is actually in it. And then you can change the supplementation around that to be able to satisfy your horse's nutritional needs.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense. So who would you say should use Equi Analytical? Can anyone send you a sample? I'm thinking in terms of, if you own your own place, or maybe even you board, like who is the ideal person to use your services?
The ideal person is whoever wants to send us a sample. The ideal person is whoever is responsible for feeding a horse. Most of our customers are actually just, day-to-day horse owners that have, 1 horse, 20 horses. Some places are large, operations, breeding facilities that have a couple of hundred horses under their, under their management. We work with universities and researchers as well, equine nutritionists. Some feed companies use us because, like I said, the feed companies will be able to give you your feed. But for them to give good recommendations on the kind of feed that you need for your horse, they need to know what's in the hay first, and then they can give recommendations. So feed companies will also test with us, but mostly it is just your day-to-day, everyday horse person with a horse that wants to know more about what they're feeding their horse.
Absolutely. Well, I think that is most of us. So I like to hear that. And then you said you're located in New York State. So say I'm in California. Can I send a sample? Is it okay to ship it across the country, or does it lose information if it's shipping too long, or how does that work?
So we accept samples all over the United States. We actually accept samples internationally as well. We have a partner that we work with, Feed Central. They're located in Australia, and they send samples to us through our equianalytical services all the time. So there's no concern there, at least with the hay. When it comes to something like pasture, there's a little concern. You could have pasture spoil in transit. Pasture, fresh grass, but hay, grains, those tend to be pretty stable in shipping. And like I said, we test across every state in the U.S. We can test internationally. We import samples on a daily basis here in the lab.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And that makes sense as far as, the hay is already dried out versus pasture is going to, sure. Lose those vitamins a little faster from the fresh cut green grass. But it's still valuable information, I think, to have. So it's good to know all the options, I think. And then when I have my results, so for example, I ride a couple of Arabians. They eat mostly alfalfa out here in California. They're a little bit more hard keepers. So that works really well for them. I just get a new batch of alfalfa. It's going to last me for a few months, send in my sample. What do I do with those results once I have them?
There's a few different things that you can do with your results. So as the lab, our responsibility is to get the data to you, and then from there, you kind of decide which direction you want to go. A good place to start is you can look into our common feed profiles on the equianalytical website. If this is your first time testing hay and we send you a bunch of numbers and you say, wow, that's a lot of numbers, what do they mean? A good place to get started if you're not familiar is the common feed profiles on the website. So with that, you can look up a grass hay, and it'll show you what the typical values are for protein, fibers, the fat, minerals, things like that, the sugars, starch. And you can get an idea of kind of how your hay compares to kind of the general population of what we've been testing. That's just to kind of get your feet wet. But after that, if you're looking for nutritional advice, a lot of people are working with their veterinarian, especially people with horses with metabolic syndrome or PPID, something like that. Any special considerations? Normally, you're already working with your vet, so you can start with your veterinarian. You can talk to an equine nutritionist. There are several out there that we've worked with that we have good relationships with. Sometimes feed companies. You can go to them. You can say, here's my hay, here's my horse. Now tell me how to supplement, where are they lacking? Feed companies can help you. Your local extension office, there are really good equine extension programs out there that will be able to help you with nutritional advice. Another option that's out there, and again, this is for the people that really like to do some rabbit hole stuff, is there is some feed software or horse nutrition software out there. And we provide the results in a format that you can upload into a lot of the software that's out there. And it'll show you what your horse's nutritional needs are and how the hay is fulfilling that and where it might be falling short. And it can help you decide on how to supplement your horse's diet. So there are a few different ways you can go. Depends on the kind of person you are or how many horses you have and how involved you want to be. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of enthusiasm in equine nutrition, especially, I would say probably over the past decade. There's been a real increase in the number of people getting actively involved in equine nutrition. So if you're one of those people, there are plenty of options out there for you to really dig in.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen that too. I think our readers come in with more baseline knowledge. They're just interested in feeding their horses the absolute best that they can and doing a lot of research, and they want like a little bit higher level of information. So I think that's great. Like there is just no negative to knowing as much as you can about taking good care of your horse, of course. So I love to see that. And then just on more like a personal note, how did you get into this field? Why are you personally interested in equine nutrition? I see you have an MS, so I just like to know a little bit about you.
I do. So I've always been a horse girl. I started off being interested in thoroughbred racing, and then after that it was standardbred racing. So I've always been a horse person. I graduated from Cornell University for my undergraduate in animal science. I worked for a few years, worked full time, got some technician time in, and then I went back and I got my master's degree at Cornell in animal science. And I studied the genetics of metabolic syndrome and PPID. Oh. So I got to know, I used Arabians as my breed that I studied in my research. I didn't know much about Arabians at the time. I knew there were Arabians. I didn't know there were such things as straight Egyptian Arabians or Polish, all the different lines. So I got to know a lot of the people that participated in my research. I got to know their horses and the struggles they went through. So when an opportunity opened up to work here at Equianalytical with our parent company, Dairy One, a position opened up here, and I said, yeah, I think that's how I can contribute to the equine community, is help on the nutrition side.
That's really cool, because I have a similar background in MS and animal science and at University of Kentucky. But my dream was working with the mares and foals. So that's what I studied. It was super fun. But yeah, it's, you can just go so many directions career-wise. Here I am, editor of a magazine. So there you go.
There you go.
It's so interesting, and I love the science. So I'm just glad to see you and the team there, providing it for, more digestible, pun, I guess, intended, consumption to the average horse owner, where they can really see what they're feeding. Like you said, that hay is like the main component, of your horse's diet in a lot of places most of the year. So you got to know what's in there, especially like we're saying, with the PPID and more of the metabolic concerns as horses age. We keep them into later years than we used to. So it's all just super important to know about. So, and as I said before, I found on the website to be super affordable. So I think that's a good thing to know, is that you can, you can do this. So.
That has been the feedback. We've had opportunity to attend some more conferences and other equine events, and we have had quite a few people that come up to talk to us, and they say, okay, so how much is this? And when we start quoting prices, they say, oh, I thought this was going to be hundreds of dollars. We said, no. Our most popular package right now, I think, is $38, which compared to the health implications of not feeding your horse correctly, you know what? $38 is a steal, as we all know, in the equine world. So if we can, we can save some money,
or to buy literally anything, I think that is
exactly. I mean, hey, maybe you can, if you have really good quality hay and you test and you find it's really good quality, maybe you can cut back a little bit on how much you're supplementing. You probably save yourself buying a bag of feed right there, which can easily be, $38. So
exactly. That's a good point. And I think people can, have so much more information once they know. So, will you tell us a little bit more where people can learn about Equianalytical? What is the website? Do you have any social accounts that we should know about?
Yes, we, so for information on all of our services, how to collect samples or sample submission form, the common feed profiles that I was talking about, you can go to equianalytical.com. So it's the Equi, EQUI dash analytical, ANALYTICAL.com to find all of that information. That is a great place to start. We do have a Facebook page, as well as just recently, hot off the presses, as of I think maybe a week ago, we do have Instagram now. So we've just started that. You'll probably see pictures of me. I was just at the Horse World Expo over the weekend. giving a talk through Penn State Equine Extension, talking about hay testing. So you'll see lots of that. We have a newsletter that you can sign up for. I strongly recommend signing up for that. We have some topics that we highlight, some of the customers that we highlight, as well as information about events that we're going to be attending. So if you go on the Equianalytical website, you should be able to sign up for our newsletter. We don't bombard you. It's just a quarterly newsletter. We don't try to bombard you with things. But sign up for that quarterly newsletter and we'll keep you updated on events and where we'll be.
Sounds great. Well, Cassie, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much.
And joining us today to talk about our adoptable horse of the month, we have Jenna Sprague. She is equine support for Happy Trails Farm Animal Sanctuary, and that's in Ravenna, Ohio. Jen, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about our new little friend here.
Yes, we have one that I'm so excited for. I don't think we've ever done a mule before. And not only that, an 8-hand mule, is this right? He looks small in the pictures. Or is it a gelding?
Mini mule.
I wasn't sure if it was a girl one or a boy one, but yes, very cute.
Boy. He's a cute. He looks very dainty in the face, very cute little pink nose, but he's a boy, yes. And he's a mini mule. He's real and he's tiny.
Okay. So yeah, I don't think I even knew that was really a thing because I live right, horses I ride are right next to a mule and it is quite gigantic. And they also have some little donkeys there too. So we always pass by there. But yes, tell us all about Spinner, personality, any like special diet needs, like what would be a good role for this guy? Is he, I'm guessing, a little small to be ridden, but maybe a companion? Like, just tell us everything.
Okay. So we've known Spinner for a long time, like almost 4 years now. He came in through our owner relinquish program about 3 years ago. He was Amish, so we were told at one point. He was a logging mule. But the Amish gave him to a woman who then realized that mules were a little bit different than horses. And she wasn't prepared to take on his like training needs because he was semi-feral when she got him. So then when we got him, he was pretty feral, like wasn't really used to being handled a whole bunch, and any handling you did do was a little dramatic. He came in, got adopted out to a wonderful lady with another one of our mini mules, and she unfortunately passed away. So he is back with us now. He's actually been a really, really decent fella. He's nothing like how he was when he first originally came in. He's just a little more, I think he'd be such a wonderful project. So he's 13 years old. He's a little on the overweight side. So, the grass, we have to limit that. And any grain, we really don't give him grain other than like a ration balancer for minerals. He just needs a little bit of work on the ground. He's very personable and he tries his best to be friendly, but I don't think he really understands that yet. And he hasn't been worked with a whole bunch over the last couple years. So we got him back. We've kind of just been trying to explain to him how we do things and how we would like him to behave. And he's been doing, like, he leads pretty well. Sometimes he can get a little frisky and a little nervous and he'll kind of go off, but he's really, as we've been putting more time and consistency into him, he's started to blossom. He'll come up to you in the pasture, let you pet all over his face. So I just think a home for him, someone's going to do something with him. He's not just going to sit out. He really does enjoy learning and he enjoys being around people. So a way for him to be incorporated into like a daily routine and not just kind of sit out in a field, because that's what he's been doing and he doesn't really like it. He's blossomed under consistent training. So that kind of type of home. Maybe he could be a little riding mule. He's very smart. He's just a little chunky right now.
So he sounds like he would thrive a lot with a job. But yeah, I mean, hey, why not? If somebody wants to, a mule lover wants to make a little kid's pony mule or something to do something with him, who knows? Like, he could be perfect for that. I just think he's so cute because I'm used to looking at bigger mules. So
this is the first time, and I've been here almost 4 years now. We've had a lot of bigger mules come in. There's still mini mules, but he's definitely one of the smaller ones, and his coloring is so cute with the little.
Oh, yes. Can you describe that, since people will just be listening to this and they can look at his picture?
Guys, he is this little white mini mule. He's white and he has these brown spots. He's a paint, basically. He's got a little brown like spot and he has the cutest little pink nose ever. He's got white ears. He's got a long horse tail because he is a mini mule. He's got the long luscious tail. He's got the little mohawk. He's big beady eyes. If you're picturing, he's got these big beady eyes. And if you do anything too quick, sometimes those big beady eyes get really, really big and beady. But he's so cute. He's definitely the most unique mule I've ever seen in my life. Like, I remember him from 3 years ago. He came in when I first started, and I was just a little tyke here, and he was so cute. But he was feral. I would definitely call him pretty feral at the time. So he's come a long way with some consistency, but he still needs someone that's going to finish that out. And the way that we work here, we're always, like we say, they're always in transition here. So it's just hard for us to give them one-on-one time. And we have a barn of 12 other horses sometimes.
Right. Well, and it sounds like with that coloring, grooming fans will have a lot to work with, keeping that clean. So he would probably enjoy some time getting groomed.
Disgusting right now. He is
How did I know? That's funny. Well, hopefully for spring, he'll find a great, perfect family and they can start working on getting that guy cleaned up and trained a little bit and find a nice job for him. That sounds like that might be perfect for him. If anyone out there is looking for that, and we'll make sure to put pictures in our show notes page for anyone that wants to take a peek. And so I would like to talk about next just Happy Trails Farm Animal Sanctuary. I'm not sure I've ever talked to you guys before. Just tell us a little how long it's been there. I think you said there was 12 horses, just kind of the size and specialization, that kind of thing of what you guys do.
So we specialize in all farm animals. So we have goats, we have chickens, we have ducks, we have turkeys right now too. We do sheep occasionally. But definitely one of our bigger focuses, especially within the last few years, we've really, really took the time to zone in on our equine relinquish. We've had this year alone, I feel like even last month, we took 15 horses and we adopted out 12 of them already. So it's been so much fun in the years that, and our Lori, our director, who is amazing, has really put her time into this place, and it's grown so much in the last few years.
And you said there are a lot of Amish horses coming in to you guys. Are people looking to adopt those specifically, or how does that all work?
Yes, so we've been trying to find a way to get a little more involved with our Amish community because we know it's harder because there's a lack of technology. So we've been looking for ways to outreach with them. We do a pretty good job. A majority of our equines are definitely Amish. They're standard breds. They're very, very kind, great beginner horses. So our clientele around here is, we do a lot with first time horse owners. So it's been, standard breds are literally pen to paper exactly what they're looking for. They're normally broke to ride. They're very quiet, desensitized. So our Amish horses go very, very quickly into second careers here. It's great to see. They've quickly, I'm a thoroughbred girl through and through, but they've quickly become like one of my favorite breeds here.
Yeah, I love thoroughbreds too, but I did work with standardbreds for a while and they are just so chill. Like we worked with 2-year-olds and I couldn't believe like this horse is 2. It acts like it's 30. Like they're just so, yeah, everything's fine. So yeah, I'm with you.
Someone explained it to me one time, the difference between, or like, standardbreds and thoroughbreds is standardbreds are a little more reactive while the standardbreds are just more resilient. And they got their good qualities, but the standardbreds really, especially for beginners, are so forgiving and they're so kind and they're very easy to maintain.
Yes, that's true. They are a little bit easier keepers than your thoroughbreds that need very expensive amounts of calories every day, a lot of them. Well, cool. I think that tells us a lot about the facility, but I was just wondering, I didn't look it up on the map yet. Ravenna, is that closer to like Columbus, Cincinnati, Cleveland? Like what part of the state are you guys in?
We're about 45 minutes from Cleveland.
Okay, so you're up there in the northern end of the state, but that's, I think close to where a lot of cities can drive right in. So that's Great for our Midwesterners. Perfect. Well, and how do people contact you guys? Is it better to go through the Right Horse link? Because we'll have that linked in our description. If they're interested, just to reach out to you guys.
Okay. We do. So we have a website full of like all of our links and all of our contact info for like different people. For equine specifically, if you're like interested in taking home our cute spinner, definitely the Right Horse application process is the way to go, just because it's the easiest way for us to get back into contact with you. But we have, for our owner relinquish, we do volunteers. We also have our tour season coming up pretty soon too, especially with the warmer weather. That'll be a lot of fun. It's all on our website. Every link, every animal's listed up there. It's happytrailsfarm.org.
Well, Jenna, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun. I love talking about my job and how much good we do.
For special rates on Horse Illustrated and Young Rider magazine subscriptions just for our podcast listeners, visit horseillustrated.com/barnbanter.
Don't be shy. Show us some barn banter love by leaving a review, and you can tell all your friends too.